At just 20 years old, he crossed into enemy territory with 40,000 men and a single ambition: to conquer the greatest empire the world had ever seen. He would never lose a battle, he would never turn back, and in just 10 years he would carve out an empire stretching from Greece to the edges of India. His enemies called him the Accursed. History remembers him as Alexander the Great. To understand Alexander, you must first understand the world that made him. Ancient Greece from around 500 BC was a land of fierce city-states, brilliant, quarrelsome, and deeply proud. Athens gave the world democracy, philosophy, and drama. Sparta gave it the most feared soldiers on earth. Together, they had once repelled the mighty Persian Empire. At the narrow pass of Thermopylae, 300 Spartans held an entire Persian army for 3 days. At Salamis, the Greek fleet shattered Persian naval power. But that unity didn't last. Athens and Sparta turned on each other. Decades of war left Greece exhausted, divided, and vulnerable. Into that vacuum stepped Macedonia. Under King Philip II, it became something else entirely. Philip introduced the sarissa, an 18-foot pike wielded in a devastating formation called the phalanx. In 338 BC, at Chaeronea, he crushed Athens and Thebes in a single afternoon. Greece was his. He began planning the campaign of a lifetime, a war against Persia. He never got to fight it. Philip was assassinated, murdered by his own bodyguard. He left behind a kingdom, an army, a plan, and a son. In 331 BC, Darius made his final stand. He chose open plains near Gaugamela, where he had cleared and flattened the ground for his chariots. His army numbered between 50 and 80,000. He had scythed war chariots. He even had war elephants. Alexander marched to meet him. As the battle began, Alexander led his right wing on a sweeping march, drawing Persian forces out of position, thinning their center. Then, at precisely the right moment, he pivoted and drove the companions like a spear straight into the gap. The Persian center cracked. Darius fled, again. The fighting on the left was brutal. 60 of Alexander's companions died holding the line. But when news of Darius's flight spread, the last Persian horseman broke. Gaugamela was the death blow to the Persian Empire. Babylon surrendered. Susa fell. Persepolis, the empire's ceremonial heart, was sacked and burned. Revenge for the burning of Athens 150 years before. The empire of Darius was gone. Alexander was its new master. But Alexander was not finished. He pushed east, into Bactria, into Sogdia, into what is now Afghanistan and Tajikistan, hunting the usurper Bessus, who had murdered Darius. Bessus was betrayed by his own men, captured, and executed. Still, Alexander kept marching. He founded city after city, from modern Herat to Kandahar, leaving his name across the map of the ancient world. He crossed the Hindu Kush. He descended into the Indus Valley. He defeated King Porus of India, a battle where war elephants inflicted terrible casualties, and kept going. But at the river Hyphasis, known today as the Bees, his army stopped. They had marched thousands of miles. They had not seen their homes in 8 years. They had heard rumors of colossal armies ahead. They refused to go further. For the only time in his life, Alexander was forced to yield, not to an enemy, but to his own men. The return journey was brutal. Part of the army sailed home by sea, an unprecedented voyage through unknown waters. Alexander led the rest overland through the Gedrosian desert. The heat was merciless. Food and water ran out. Thousands died, not in battle, but from thirst and exhaustion. Back in Persia, the cracks were showing. He executed corrupt governors. He arranged mass marriages between his officers and Persian noblewomen. He began adopting Persian customs, Persian dress, Persian rituals. His Macedonian veterans were offended. There were mutinies. There were plots. And then came the blow that broke him. Hephaestion, Alexander's closest friend, the person he loved most in the world, died of fever. Alexander was inconsolable. He went days without eating. He ordered mourning across the entire empire. He never fully recovered. In the spring of 323 BC, in Babylon, as he planned his next campaign, Alexander developed a sudden fever. He grew weaker. His men filed past his bed to say goodbye. On June the 10th, 323 BC, Alexander died. He was 32 years old. The cause has never been established. Perhaps disease, perhaps poison. No one knows.